The mind is a whirlwind, a constant dance of thoughts, fears, desires, and distractions that never seem to stop. It spins endlessly, much like a storm that refuses to quiet. This ceaseless chatter is often mistaken for normalcy, as if the mind must remain in motion, running on autopilot, to find purpose or peace. But what if the noise we've come to accept as our reality is the very thing keeping us from experiencing something far greater than the chaos, a stillness that isn't emptiness, but a profound space of clarity, where the soul can breathe deeply and the heart can find its rhythm. The truth is that the mind is not your master, it's your companion, and yet we treat it like an unruly servant, constantly demanding more from it. We think we need more thoughts, more distractions, more noise to survive, but it's in the quiet, in the absence of everything, that we often find our truest selves. In this space, the mind is not an enemy to be tamed, but a tool waiting to be understood. And in that understanding, we discover the real power of silence, not the kind that is empty, but the kind that opens doors to deeper wisdom. In order to silence the mind's constant buzzing, do you understand what you have? That implies a disagreement, doesn't it? You encounter duality, conflict, and struggle as a result of your mind's chattering and your suppression of it. Why is my mind chattering is something you never ask, though. I don't know how to silence your thoughts, so why is it doing that? Wow, this is really basic. What causes mental chatter? Is it automatic? How about sloth? How reassuring is it? Is it because to sloth that the mind has become accustomed to the habit and continues to babble endlessly? Does it reflect your upbringing? Could it be that it is genuinely terrified of what might happen if it remains silent? Do you see the point? Whatever we're doing, in the kitchen, at work, with family, in bed, or even when we're cooking, the majority of our minds are busy with something. Is the fact that thoughts are racing around truly significant? I see now. If you'll just give me a moment of your time, I'll explain why this is important. This is quite significant, since it results in energy being wasted. The motion is repetitive and unending. Why is the mind preoccupied with something? Please tell me. Put yourself first. It gets verbal and pointless if you respond right away, so please, hold off. But why is my mind busy if you say this right now? Tell me what's keeping you busy. Reason being, the mind lacks freedom. Sorry, but no. Does it worry that something bad will happen if it's empty? If it weren't inhabited, would it even exist? Hold on a second, that's the one. Because it doesn't really exist. I exist because I am chattering, is what it reads then. Wow, you're missing out on a lot. Descartes stated that. So I must inquire, what is it that occupies your thoughts? I thought it was vacant if nobody was there. Furthermore, isn't that something that scares you? So, your anxiety is telling you to keep yourself busy so you can forget about it. And speaking, talking, is that all? For the sake of avoiding the uncontrollable, your thoughts are clearly preoccupied, and as you well know, a preoccupied mind is a useless one, is it not? No matter how much time it spends thinking about God, saying God, God, or reading books about God, it is a mind that is completely useless and pointless. A busy mind isn't just lifeless, it's completely dead, isn't it? This thing doesn't have any, because it's very complicated. I will not go into detail. Our fear of being alone is crippling, you know. Do you see the point? When one is nothing, the mind that is occupied is thus a mind that is squandering its resources. Plus, you focus on something to silence them all. You express, I won't chatter, I'll look at this picture, at this poem, at this face, as you gaze. Because it's occupied, though, you aren't looking, aren't you? However, in order to gaze, one must not be employed. In other words, you're not paying attention. Then focusing becomes a job. I have to focus. I have to keep my mind clear of any thoughts, etc. In an effort to focus, you're essentially isolating yourself, which might lead to tension. We have entered the realm of awareness, focus. We could delve into it more thoroughly if we had the time. Because, when you focus, you're unknowingly elevating the self-importance. There's a lot going on. No matter where I am, in the workplace, the factory, the garden, etc., I place a premium on maintaining my focus. Do you not perceive it? Why? Because if I focus intently, I will reap the benefits. Therefore, focus is the issue. When you spend all of your energy on one thing, be it gardening, teaching, or anything else, you become an expert in that field and feel immense self-importance. This is very different from awareness, in which you have no choice but to pay attention. Since there is no fixed point of focus when paying attention, we have already established that it is completely unrelated to both. You have been invited. Listen up. Pay close attention. Your mind, your body, your nerves, everything. And you will discover that there is no one else present but me when you listen intently. All you're doing is listening. Therefore, it is clear that there is no me while attention is present. There is simply a borderless region in which one's whole attention is focused. There is simply a borderless region in which one's whole attention is focused. There is no center, and by extension, no perimeter, and no distance between the center and an end. It turns into, therefore, what is not attention, because most of us pay close attention for a few seconds, and then we want to keep it up. Practice attention, attend schools that teach it, follow gurus who say to be attentive, practice, etc. All of which is meaningless. To attend is to focus intently on something. To observe something requires complete stillness of the eyes. Are you all going to do something? Or am I just babbling as usual? The mind has constructed a barrier to ward off the unknown as part of its never-ending task. You may have seen that whenever you attempt to still your mind, a surge of anxiety ensues. It's as if the mind thinks it will vanish into thin air, that it will become nothingness in its absolute silence. Is it possible, though, that the I that we hold on to so tenaciously is only an illusion? Silence, far from being nothing, actually means liberation. The mind clings to its chatter, distractions, and ceaseless noise because it is so afraid of this freedom. This sound gets louder the more we attempt to ignore it. But if we take a step back and just watch it, it starts to go away. Here is where the true metamorphosis starts. Just being observant, without passing judgment or interfering, makes room for the mind to let go. When that happens, we'll be able to feel the calmness just below the surface. Amen. One symptom of our mental chatter addiction is a general inability to stay in the here and now. Distancing ourselves from our authentic selves is the purpose of it. Amidst all the din, we fail to pay attention not only to the external world, but also to our innermost selves. Because it is constantly thinking, the mind fails to listen. We miss the insight and clarity that come from pausing to listen in the midst of our hectic lives, because we are expecting too much and are in too much of a hurry to fill the silence. It is in the knowing that one is thinking that true freedom begins, not in not thinking at all. Recognizing that you are not the chatter is more important than eradicating it. You are the room where ideas form and fall apart. The path to a more profound and genuine life begins with this realization. You can liberate yourself to be really present in each and every moment when you separate yourself from your ideas. Allow your thoughts to wander and express themselves endlessly, but keep in mind that you are not the lead singer. A silent observer, you are. We can go from a state of constant conflict with our minds to a state of calm observation by making this mental change. We discover the strength to be ourselves in the act of observing and being motionless. Our interaction with our thoughts, rather than our thoughts themselves, determines who we are. For a long time, we identified with the noise, thinking it was our core identity. However, it is only the surface, often chaotic, and always ephemeral. Finding our authentic selves, free from the tangle of thinking, requires taking a step back and appreciating the stillness beneath it all. Instead of trying to stop the mind's never-ending cycle, we should just watch it with empathy and compassion. By making that remark, we come to understand that we are not mere background noise. We are the nothingness, the empty room from whence all things emerge, and it is in this immensity that we are free. Silencing the mind isn't the path to true calm. Rather, it's the realization that we are the silence, present and whole at all times. In the end, it's not the mind's chatter that defines us, but our relationship with it. We've spent so long identifying with the noise, believing that it is the essence of who we are, but in truth, it is merely the surface, often frantic, always fleeting. The key lies in stepping back and embracing the silence beneath it all, where we encounter our truest self, untangled from the web of thoughts. The mind's endless spin is not something to fight against, but something to observe with compassion and understanding. In that observation, we realize that we are much more than the noise. We are the stillness, the space in which everything arises, and in that vastness, we find freedom. True peace doesn't come from silencing the mind. It comes from realizing that we are the silence itself, always present, always whole. If you want to continue on your journey of self-discovery, make sure to subscribe to this channel to assure living more in the present moment. Reply with the word "now" in the comments if this message resonated with you, and if you want to continue growing in the future. Also, consider giving this video a like or sharing it with someone who might benefit from a gentle reminder to slow down in life and be more awake.